very moment that you open your eyes today, what was the first thing that was on your mind? Majority of the times, as soon as you wake up, the thought of your financial situation, your environment, you don't immediately put yourself into a negative state of mind. The self-doubt, caring about what others think, your current situation, your relationships, that is not the feeling for the majority when you first wake up. That is a choice. You choose to start thinking of your environment and start looking at it as in a negative way. What if you change just the way you think? The environment, everything stays the same, but just the way that you think is the one thing that changes. Imagine what your life would look like if you continue to think the way that you think now, always beating yourself up, your financial situation, always thinking negative of yourself, your body, your mind. You worry so much about your past and let the past haunt you. Imagine what your life would be like if you continue to do that. And then imagine what your life would be like if you did the opposite of whatever that negative thought was. Imagine if you looked at your current situation, your current environment, instead of looking at it as something negative, you looked at it as every day that you woke up, this is an opportunity for me to grow. I'm grateful for this environment because it's going to make me stronger. It humbles me, it makes me better. So when I do change this environment, I will never forget where I came from, and I will stay humble, and I will never forget it was the Most High that brought me out of that. Just that simple mindset shift changes everything. And when you have both scenarios that you've imagined, choosing the negative thought, it becomes you feel a lot more conviction if you still decide to choose to do that. And you have nobody else to blame but yourself. And it hits a lot different when you decide to choose that negative path, because you already imagined what life would look like if you chose the positive route, and yet you still chose the negative route. It's going to hurt a lot more than when you were just thinking negative. Now just imagine if you chose that positive route, and every single day you wake up, you look at it as opportunities to build that habit of constantly keep doing that over and over again. And that starts leaking into other areas of your life. You was looking at your finances like that. Now you look at your body like that. So your body is not the way that you imagine it to be. Your body, now you start looking at your training like that. Now, first you was looking at your finances. Now you're looking at your body. Then now you're looking at your environment. Then you start looking at your relationships. Then you start looking at, say you create content, or you have social anxiety. You look at every day, instead of being fearful and trying to hide yourself away from those situations, when that social anxiety, that spirit of anxiety arises, you look at it as an opportunity every single day to overcome that anxiety. You post every post, instead of thinking of it as views, likes. You're not posting to get views or likes. You're posting to overcome your social anxiety. In every single post, you notice that you get better with the way that you speak. You stutter less. Your thoughts start to flow a lot more freely. And then it gets to the point where now you got this huge documentation where you could go look back on it yourself. If people happen to watch it, they just happen to watch it. But you're doing this for you. And you never know what could come from that. You could be an inspiration to somebody else by you taking that action. Not everyone wants to see the end result. There are people who want to not just see the journey, but be a part of the journey as well. It's a lot easier to relate to somebody when you're both going through the same thing at the exact same time. Because when iron sharpens iron, when they see you and you're dealing with the same exact thing, and they see that you don't have a big following, you still struggle with your anxiety, but you're not afraid to admit that within your videos, and it shows how you still have that anxiety, and somebody else sees that and they're on that same exact level that you are. Imagine how much more impactful that is than someone who has millions of followers, who speaks in front of tens of thousands of people. It seems as if that distance is a lot farther away. So you never know the type of impact that you can make by just taking the action. There are people out there, whether you know it or not, that are watching you, that are inspired by you, and not just look at you as some motivation type of a thing. They look at you as someone who's not afraid, who's not fearful, because that holds a lot more weight than someone who's already at a different level and then decides to speak about it, versus someone who's not afraid to share that journey and document that throughout the way. It holds a lot more weight. So just imagine the blessings. Imagine how much more enjoyable it is. You can have this mindset for literally every single thing that you do in life. It does not matter what it is. There is no limit. You let your mind roam free.